This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to the Roundup. We are diving into the high-stakes world of professional sports, covering everything from the NBA postseason brackets to dramatic walk-offs on the diamond and crucial NHL clinching scenarios.
The 2026 NBA playoff bracket is finally set for action.
Eastern Conference seeding remains a chaotic mess for many teams.
Doc Rivers faces retirement rumors after a disappointing Bucks season.
The Mariners complete a massive comeback to stun the Astros.
Carlo Ancelotti considers a veteran return for Brazil's national team.
Shohei Ohtani leads the Dodgers to another dominant victory tonight.
Avalanche coach Jared Bednar hospitalized after a scary puck incident.
Golden Knights clinch a playoff spot with a thrilling win.
First, the NBA postseason. The 2025-26 NBA regular season has officially transitioned from a marathon into a high-stakes sprint as the playoff field is set. In a historic turn of events, the Detroit Pistons have completed a massive resurgence to claim the top seed in the Eastern Conference. They'll be waiting for the winner of the play-in tournament to see who they face in the first round. Meanwhile, the Boston Celtics, New York Knicks, and Cleveland Cavaliers have secured their positions and are looking to rest up before the real grind begins. Over in the Western Conference, the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder have locked up the number 1 seed, with the San Antonio Spurs right on their heels. The first round officially tips off on Saturday, April 18th, and with the margin for error now at 0, the quest for the Larry O'Brien Trophy is truly underway for these elite squads.
It is fascinating to see the broadcast landscape for this year's playoffs as well. Fans can catch the action across ABC, ESPN, NBC, and even Prime Video. While the NBA Finals remain exclusive to ABC, the early rounds are spread out, giving streaming users plenty of options through Peacock and the ESPN app. For those looking for a one-stop shop, DirecTV Stream is carrying all the major network broadcasts. The bracket is still a bit fluid as we wait for the play-in results to finalize the 7th and 8th seeds in both conferences. In the East, the Knicks are already locked in to face either the Raptors or the Hawks, while the Cavaliers will take on whichever of those two teams doesn't end up in New York's path. The West is equally competitive, with the Nuggets, Lakers, and Timberwolves all jockeying for their final first-round destinations as the weekend approaches.
Next, the Eastern standings. While the top 4 seeds in the East are set with the Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, and Cavaliers, the rest of the conference is a total jumble heading into the final day. The Hawks currently hold the 5th seed, but they are being chased hard by the Toronto Raptors and the Orlando Magic. Interestingly, the Hawks are the only team in that middle pack guaranteed a top 6 spot, meaning they avoid the play-in tournament entirely. However, the Raptors, Magic, and 76ers are all in a dead heat for that final guaranteed playoff berth. If Toronto or Orlando can pull off a win on Sunday, they could potentially leapfrog Atlanta, depending on the tiebreakers. It's a high-pressure situation because falling into the 7th or 8th spot means a much harder path through the play-in, where a single bad night can end a season that lasted 6 months.
The tie-breaking procedures are going to be critical here, especially if we see a 3-team deadlock. The NBA looks at head-to-head winning percentages first, followed by division leadership and conference records. Down at the bottom of the bracket, the Charlotte Hornets and Miami Heat are already locked into the 9 versus 10 matchup. This means they'll have to win 2 consecutive games just to earn the right to play the top-seeded Pistons. Meanwhile, teams like the Bucks, Bulls, and Nets have already been eliminated from contention, leaving them to watch the chaos from the sidelines. The 76ers are the real wild card here. They have the talent to make a deep run, but their seeding is so precarious that they might find themselves fighting for their lives in the play-in. Sunday's final slate of games will finally bring some much-needed clarity to this incredibly crowded Eastern Conference playoff picture.
Now to Milwaukee's future. The Milwaukee Bucks are facing a massive crossroads after a season that completely fell apart. Not only did they miss the playoffs, but they weren't even close to a play-in berth, finishing near the bottom of the East alongside teams that were clearly tanking. While the long-term future of Giannis Antetokounmpo is the biggest looming cloud, the immediate focus is on head coach Doc Rivers. This is the first time Rivers has missed the postseason since 2018, and his tenure in Milwaukee has been described as messy at best. Rumors are swirling that he might consider retirement rather than facing a potential firing. General manager John Horst has been non-committal about Rivers' future, and history shows that this franchise isn't afraid to pull the trigger on coaching changes, even after much better seasons than this one. The disconnect between the bench and the front office seems to be growing by the day.
The internal dynamics in the locker room sound equally strained. Reports have surfaced about a team meeting where Rivers reportedly told players to Google him and look at his resume to justify his leadership. That approach apparently did not sit well with the roster, further highlighting a gap between the veteran coach and his players. If the Bucks want to convince Giannis to stay long-term, they have to prove that major changes are coming, and keeping a coach who has lost the locker room is a tough sell. Rivers has a reputation for landing on his feet, having held 5 different head coaching positions, but his stock has never been lower. If Milwaukee decides to move on, it might be the end of the line for Rivers as an NBA head coach. The team needs a fresh start, and a new voice in the huddle might be the only way to salvage the era.
Moving to the diamond, the Seattle Mariners pulled off a stunning comeback on Saturday night, defeating the Houston Astros 8-7 in a game that looked over by the 4th inning. Mariners starter Luis Castillo struggled early, giving up 7 runs before being chased from the mound. At that point, the Astros held a commanding 5-run lead, and the energy in the stadium was low. However, the Mariners' offense refused to quit. Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez both homered to chip away at the deficit, sparking a 6-run turnaround that electrified the home crowd. Manager Dan Wilson called it a feel-good win, emphasizing how the team scratched and clawed their way back into the contest. It was a massive confidence builder for a lineup that had been looking for a spark, and seeing their stars deliver in high-pressure moments was exactly what the fans at T-Mobile Park needed to see to believe in this squad.
The hero of the night was J.P. Crawford, who delivered a walk-off single in the bottom of the 9th to seal the victory. It was a poetic finish for Crawford, who had started the game with a leadoff walk. The game had its share of weird moments, including a successful challenge by catcher Cal Raleigh that turned a bases-loaded walk into a strikeout, briefly keeping the Mariners in the game during Castillo's rocky 2nd inning. Despite the early pitching woes, the bullpen managed to stabilize the game, allowing the hitters to mount their charge. Julio Rodriguez's double earlier in the game was also a significant milestone, marking his first extra base hit of the season and hopefully signaling the end of an early season slump. This kind of gritty, come-from-behind win can often be the turning point for a team's momentum, especially when it comes against a division rival like the Astros.
Shifting to international soccer. Carlo Ancelotti has stirred up the football world by refusing to rule out a return for veteran defender Thiago Silva to the Brazil national team. Even though Silva is now 41 years old, Ancelotti believes that quality and experience are far more important than the age listed on a player's passport. Silva hasn't played for the Salauco since their heartbreaking exit from the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, but with the next tournament approaching, the door seems to be cracking open for a fairy tale return. Ancelotti, who has coached some of the greatest legends in the sport, pointed to players like Paolo Maldini and Luka Modric as proof that elite athletes can perform at the highest level well into their late 30s and early 40s. He insists that if a player deserves to be on the list based on their current performance, their age should never be a disqualifying factor for the national squad.
Thiago Silva is currently playing for Porto, where he has already made 9 appearances since joining in January. His tactical intelligence and physical conditioning remain top-notch, which is why Ancelotti is so high on his potential contribution. Beyond just playing, Ancelotti also spoke about Silva's future on the touchline. The defender has already begun studying for his coaching badges, and his former manager at Milan believes the transition will be seamless. Silva has always been known for his intellectual approach to the game and his strict work ethic, traits that usually translate well into coaching. Whether he's on the pitch for one last World Cup run or preparing to lead from the dugout, Silva remains a massive figure in Brazilian football. Ancelotti's comments suggest that the veteran's journey with the national team might not be over just yet, providing a veteran presence that a young Brazil squad could desperately use.
Back to MLB action. The Los Angeles Dodgers continued their dominant start to the season with a 6-3 victory over the Texas Rangers. Shohei Ohtani set the tone immediately with a leadoff home run, his first at Chavez Ravine this year. This blast extended his on-base streak to an incredible 45 games, proving once again why he is a 4-time MVP. After a brief home run drought to start the season, Ohtani has now found his rhythm, hitting 4 homers in his last 8 games. Teoscar Hernandez added to the fireworks with a 3-run shot in the first inning, giving the Dodgers an early lead they would never relinquish. Pitcher Emmett Sheehan earned the win, throwing 6 solid innings and striking out 6. The defending World Series champions are now 11-3, which is currently the best record in the majors, showing no signs of a post-championship hangover as they steamroll through their early schedule.
On the other side, the Rangers are struggling, having lost 6 of their last 9 games. Brandon Nimmo was the lone bright spot for Texas, hitting 2 home runs including a leadoff shot of his own. However, the rest of the Rangers lineup was almost completely silenced, managing only 1 other hit throughout the entire game. Texas starter Jack Leiter had a rough outing, giving up 5 runs and 4 walks before being pulled in the 4th inning. The Dodgers' bullpen had a bit of a shaky moment in the ninth when manager Dave Roberts opted not to use closer Edwin Diaz, who had blown a lead the night before. Instead, Alex Vesia came in to secure the final out and earn his first save. Looking ahead, the series finale features a marquee pitching matchup, with Jacob deGrom taking the mound for Texas against the highly touted Roki Sasaki for the Dodgers.
Now, an NHL update. A scary scene unfolded in Denver on Saturday night when Colorado Avalanche head coach Jared Bednar was hit in the face by a stray puck. The incident occurred in the third period when a puck deflected off the stick of Golden Knights defenseman Keegan Colasar and flew over the glass, striking Bednar on the right cheek. He was seen clutching his head before being helped to the locker room by trainers. Bednar was taken to a local hospital for a CT scan and further evaluation, though team spokespeople confirmed he remained conscious and alert throughout the process. Assistant coach Dave Haxtell had to take over the head coaching duties for the remainder of the game, which the Avalanche eventually lost 3-2 in overtime. It was an unnerving moment for the entire bench, as players and staff are well aware of how dangerous those high-speed deflections can be when they leave the field of play.
The timing is particularly tough as the Avalanche are set to travel to Edmonton on Sunday to start a 2-game road trip. It's still unclear if Bednar will be cleared to travel with the team or if he'll need more time to recover from the impact. To make matters worse, Colorado also lost defenseman Josh Manson to an upper body injury during the same game. Despite these setbacks, the Avalanche have already clinched the top overall seed in the playoffs, so they have a bit of a cushion as they manage these injuries. Assistant coach Nolan Pratt mentioned that it takes a moment to recalibrate after seeing something like that happen to your head coach, but the team has to stay focused on the postseason. The health of Bednar is obviously the priority, and the hockey world is wishing him a speedy recovery after such a frightening and unexpected accident on the bench.
Finally, the Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights have officially punched their ticket to the postseason after a thrilling 3-2 overtime victory against the Colorado Avalanche. Just 11 days ago, the Knights were in a precarious position, sitting third in the Pacific Division and facing the real possibility of missing the playoffs entirely. However, a late-season surge has changed everything. With this win, they not only clinched a berth, but also moved into first place in the Pacific Division. The game was a back-and-forth battle, with Mark Stone scoring a spectacular goal by batting the puck out of midair to tie the game in the first period. Despite being outshot early on, the Golden Knights showed the resilience of a championship-caliber team. Jack Eichel eventually sealed the deal in overtime, beating the Avalanche goalie on a rush to secure the 2 points and the top spot in the division standings as the regular season winds down.
This victory is a testament to how quickly things can turn around in the NHL. Vegas was generating a massive number of scoring chances throughout the second and third periods, eventually wearing down the President's Trophy-winning Avalanche. Pavel Dorofeyev also contributed a huge goal, firing a one-timer from the left dot to give Vegas their first lead of the night. While Colorado managed to tie it back up, the Golden Knights' pressure in overtime was too much to handle. With the regular season ending this coming Thursday, Vegas is hitting their stride at exactly the right moment. They've gone from fighting for their lives to being the team to beat in the Pacific. If they can maintain this level of play, they'll be a nightmare matchup for anyone in the first round. The energy in the locker room has clearly shifted, and they look ready for another deep playoff run.
That wraps up our sports roundup for today. Be sure to follow us for your next daily briefing on the stories that matter most. We will see you back here tomorrow.